Hello, welcome. So tonight I am going to paint, obviously, a bird. This is a Blue Fairy Wren that I found online on a site called Paint My Photo. It's a site where artists can go and find pictures and paint them, and then you give attribution to them. But the people who post photos there give you the right to paint whatever they post there. It's a very nice site. So I've chosen to paint that tonight. I'm using a travel kit. This says Van Gogh. It's not really Van Gogh. It's the Van Gogh case, which I very much like, but it's got De La Rowney paints in it because I went through all of my Van Gogh paints. And if you've seen me paint recently, I've been using more of a different palette, but in this one I have a pre-mixed black here, and since I've got a bird with such a great amount of black on it, I thought I would just save the time, everybody's time, and go with a paint palette that has black on it rather than take the time to do anything else. So I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to start with this guy's eye right here, and I'm going to paint some of it but not all of it because I want to leave a highlight right on there. There it is already. When you do that, you can start to see some character in the bird that you're painting. There he is. Let's see, I need to adjust the lens so I can see what I'm doing on there. Okay, so now I got my eye and I'm going to let that dry and set for just a second. I've got a bill that's brown. Obviously some black on here, some brown wings, gray, some nice yellow tones on the underbelly here that you can see, and brown gray there, and gray with some nice orange or red in his legs. So I'm going to jump in with his legs there. Just let's see if I can get a nice orangey kind of a brown. I mix a little bit of green in with this. I should be able to gray this down just a bit, or maybe not. It's not working. Alright, I do have a nice brown. That's not so bad. I'm not going to put it on real thick. I'm planning on going over his legs probably at least once anyways. But this will allow me to get some color on there. I don't know why really I want to paint his legs first this time. I've painted body first most of the time that I do this, and I always seem to come back and go, why didn't I paint the leg when I had the chance? I don't know, but I don't know. I guess it could go either way. I think by the time everything is said and done, this bird's going to be totally wet when I'm painting him anyways. So I don't know that it's going to make too much of a difference. Alright, I'm going to go on with some Prussian blue here. I'm going to use that. That is a bold blue, Prussian blue. You can't see anything I'm doing. Let me just back this out. Alright, there we go. Mixing some Prussian blue that I'm going to use on his head here. Prussian blue is a pretty strong blue. But what I want to do, and this might help you to think about it this way as you're starting to paint, I know that a lot of this bird is going to be black. Black, even if it's gray black, it's dark, is a pretty strong color, and it's going to cover up a lot of what I'm doing. So I should put on a number of the colors around that are probably going to get covered up. you know, if my edges aren't exactly right as I put it on with this blue, it's not going to matter because I'm going to put the black on, or dark color anyways, around this bird, and we won't see too much of it. So I'm mixing up right now a little bit of a brown color that I'm going to use for his wing here. It's a little redder than I would like. Let's see if I can't take a little bit of that red out. That's a little bit better. Alright, and let's see, I'm going to take that. I'm trying to paint in the direction of his wing so that if I miss something, if there's a white spot in there, or if you happen to see a brush stroke in there somewhere, your mind isn't thrown by it. Your mind is just going to go, oh, well, that's part of that bird. That's part of what you're painting. And so I always try to paint in the direction of whatever it is I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to take a nice yellow, a nice warmish yellow. This is some nice gamboge. It's a little brighter than I want, but I'll be able to tone that down with a little bit of ochre here. For the time being, I want to stay just away from touching that wing. I want that to get just a little bit drier before I do anything with that. Okay, there we go. Just yellow is just a little too strong for me. Now I'm waiting for that to dry. Guess I could come in back here. There's some little bits of feathers here that I could get that are this nice brownish color here. They go way out there. There we go. I don't want to make this too tight of a painting. I'm not trying to do anything super exact with this, but I think that'll work out. Here we go. Maybe I can find my way to make some sort of a gray for our oh my lord, what am I trying to say? For the branch that goes through here. Thank you. Here we go. Let's say this has got a little bit more green to it. Not quite that much. That's better gray. Just mix some of that in there. That'll all work out. Go right around those little toes. Something like that. Here we go. And if you want to, you can take a little bit of blue while you're here. Just drop it on the underside. And that's going to give you a little bit of a shadow under there. If you're really courageous, you can mix some of that into the rest of your branch. Might be a little much there. Put a little bit of that back, and it will look as though you got a little bit of texture on there. At this stage, it's not a lot of texture, but you'll see that it's not perfectly smooth. Okay, so now I can come back here. I'm going to come back here. And got a little too much water on my brush. I'm going to mix in some of my dark in here and a little bit of blue under here. Alright, I did touch this a little bit. It's running from his wing just a bit. I'm not going to worry about it. I don't think it looks bad. But we've toned that color down underneath there just enough. And now you've got to really be brave because black is such a strong color. We can make our painting or break our painting just kind of by doing a little too much here. And I'm hoping my head is not exactly in your way. You know what? I don't want this all to be just dark black. So I'm going to mix a little bit of color in with that. We're going to warm that up just a little bit. And I think that's going to be a lot better. There we go. Alright, so if I touch the edge of my blue, I'm fine with it. A little bit. I don't want to take away too much of it, so I don't have a whole lot of it there. I gotta flip my bird. Not flip the bird, flip my bird. And I'm gonna go a little bit here. I'm gonna go around his eye. I just touched his eye there and I didn't really want to. But I'm going to let it go because I don't want to fidget with it. I'm afraid if I fidget, I'm going to lose more of the eye than I have right now. There we go. I've done enough around the side there. I think I can come back to where I'm supposed to be. I don't know if you're like me and you really only like to paint in one direction. It's problematic sometimes, but if you do that like me, you've probably learned to live with it. I'm trying real hard not to get my hand in my tree branch down here. And if that tree branch is looking a bit blue for you, don't worry. We can always change that. And you know what? We might not even need to change that. I'm going to switch to a little smaller brush. We might not even need to change that because many times when you put on your background color, it really forces the foreground color to change. And it doesn't change, but it looks like it changes anyways. And before you know it, that background, or the foreground color, is not quite what you thought it was. And we're going to hope to pick up on a little bit of that. Alright, I'm trying to get a little bit, I want to dark here. Now I like to try to get, I know he looks a little bit of a mess at the moment. I like to get darks next to lights, lights next to darks. And I've got kind of a mishmash here. I think what I'm going to do is leave this part of his wing up here real light and darken the parts down here. Let me mix up some color for that because I want that wing to kind of pop out a little bit. So I'm going to mix up a nice bit of color here. It's got a little bit of red on him, which is perplexing me just a little bit. Let's see, that might be a bit much. There we go. That's a bit redder than I thought it was going to be. Let's mix in a little bit of ochre to tone that down just a bit. There we go. That's okay. Well, I think I took too much. Good, there we go. Something like that. That doesn't look too bad. And I want to come back and punch up some of that blue, but I do need to wait just a second for that to dry. I'm going to come back while I'm waiting for that. I know I've got just a little bit of shadow under here. I need to put that in, or his leg is going to look like it just kind of floats there, and I don't want that to happen. There we go. I'm liking the colors under here. Like those are really sporty colors. A little bit of this orange. There we go. The thing I'm liking least about this painting, believe it or not, I think, is the dark black, which is the reason why I chose the palette that I'm using. Alright, let me, like I said, I was going to do before, let me darken his legs and feet here just a little bit. Just kind of going to do the back side of them. There we go. And I'm going to get some more of my Prussian blue. I don't think his head up here is quite as dark as the rest of him now. I need to turn him a little bit more. I think this is making a big difference. I'm liking him a lot more now that I've put a little dark onto him. Dark, I should say, this darker Prussian. There we go. I don't know if this bird in real life has color quite this dark. Ours does. That's okay. I'm going to clean my brush. A little bit of ochre, a little bit of light red, a little burnt sienna. I'll put some on his beak there. Alright, and I'm going to get a big brush. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Let's see. Let me back you up. Oh, that's the wrong way. So I've made quite a mess on my palette, and I still need to go around him. I need to find paper here so we can clean this. And we need to think about what color we want to put around the outside of this bird. Now, of course, on our picture it's gray, but I think we can do better than gray. So I'm thinking, well, what am I thinking here? Blue, let's see, the opposite of blue is orange. Black doesn't have an opposite, white, but that's not helping us. Brown kind of is green. Green and orange are kind of on the separate side. Alright, I'll tell you what. I picked the bird out because he's got blue on him. So I think we're going to do somewhat of an orange background. Whether that's a good choice or not, I don't know, but that's what we're going to go with. And we'll do this. Orange here, down that way to something else. And we're not going to muck about with it. We are going to grab a big brush and we're going to go to town. I'm going to have a little bit of red mixed in here. Red is a very bold thing. Let's see, I'm going to quickly, I think, move from that red to a yellowish. There we go. I don't do blending nearly as well with this big brush as I do with the smaller brushes. I don't know why that is, but I know that it is. In fact, I'm going to blot some of this. You know what? I'm already over it with that brush. That flat brush is great for doing a lot of things. But I think adding color to a painting this size is probably not one of them. So we're going to fall back on plan B. Get a little yellow under here, around those fingers, right up there. And this brush, if you've ever used, if you have some of these Princeton brushes, you know that they hold a lot of water. And when I say a lot of water, I mean a lot of water. Have I mentioned it's a lot of water? So you basically only got to kind of pass it over the top of your water jar and it's going to start picking up water on you. Let's see, we're going to go all the way. Look at this. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4 colors. I wonder if this is going to work. Got to keep my blue fairly clean if I'm going to do this. Now this big brush is so much water. More than I expected to be here. That's okay. We're not going to worry about it. We're not going to let it bother us. We're just going to keep right on going. I should say, if you use a big brush like this, if you need to use a big brush like this, if you do bigger paintings, I don't do that many bigger paintings. You guys haven't seen me do too many big paintings, but if you do bigger paintings, this brush really is great because you'll grab a bit of your color, whatever that's going to be, and you'll be able to paint half your painting with it. There we go, a little bit of blue there. Just blend that out a little bit. I'm actually going to come back up here, take some of this redness out. It didn't quite get as orange as I hoped. So we're going to force a little bit of orange in there by going back over it with a little bit of yellow. Something like that. There we go. Now my wing is dry here. I'm going to come back in with, I know you keep thinking I'm going to be done, and I'm not. I'm going to just give him a couple of, I'm not going to do that. going to get a smaller brush first of all. There we go. And I'm going to give him a couple of lines here. Not many. I don't think he needs many, but just something where his wing line would be. And I'm going to give him one back here. There we go. And I feel like I need a couple of little ones up here in the front. Just a few little lines to give the indication of the pattern of his feathers. I think this got a little bit dark, so I'm going to smear these just a little bit. Not exactly what I hoped for, but that's okay. And I think I'm going to try to go right over part of that eye just again. Well, there we go. I'm kind of happy with that. I wish actually I had used a different wish I had used my other palette instead of this one. I gave up a little bit of my mixing in the colors I normally like so that I could have my black in here. And if I'm honest with you, I think that my black kind of took over a little bit, and it's a little too intense on here, but I'm okay with it to some extent. I kind of like the painting. I don't think it's terrible. I certainly don't hate it, but we've done better together. We'll do better ones in the future. I'm just going to give us a little bit of, I am just trying to go for a little bit of texture on that wood right now. There we go. But there you go. This is a Blue Fairy Wren. I'm going to sign this one and call it good. I hope you enjoyed painting with me. I hope you come back and see me again. Subscribe to my channel. That will ensure that you'll get a message the next time I post a video. I do post every week. And that's it. Thanks for stopping by. I had a blast. Thank you. Bye-bye.